Now, what we're going to do now is start to focus on the things that actually generate enterprise value. Okay? But just on a promotional point for the subject of enterprise value, and the fact that it actually creates benefits that do make your life rather more pleasant. Because businesses that focus on that quality of profit, build that enterprise value, tend to do these things. They will attract better staff. And they'll attract better customers. Anyone know of a great business with crap customers? You've got a great business with crap customers. What people want to talk to you about? Anybody know of a crap business with great customers?
Orange.
Orange? I don't know what that means. I don't know what orange means. But how could, does anybody know of a crap business with great customers? Saying orange?
Yeah. We are their customers, and their customer service is terrible. They don't deliver what we would like them to deliver. They make it very difficult to be a buyer. They don't listen to their customers.
So why don't you leave them?
It's a fucking good question.
The answer might be, in all the time, no one knows that a crap business with great customers. You will get off the boat. You'll find a better supplier. So there is a sort of mutuality in here, and in pretty much every business in this room, the quality of your staff is going to have a lot to do with the quality of the customers that you attract. You've got stuff in here about sustainability and sustainable performance. You know, you'll sleep easier at night. It makes you think longer term, and it makes you think in a more balanced way about this kind of left-hand equality as well as the quantity of profits. You will get a higher profitable growth rate. That's why someone would pay a higher multiple, if you think about it. It's kind of self-policing. Yeah, it's a better place to work. Advert over, how do you get an improvement in the situation, whatever your current situation is. So there are, you know, all of the work that's been done on this boils down to the conclusion that there are sort of 6 drivers of improving enterprise value. And these are them. We're going to open these up, these pots up, and explore them in a bit more detail in a moment. But dependency, market position, the sustainability of your performance. This bottom one is perhaps one to come into play much more in the last 6 or 9 months, and actually is a perfect point on orange, isn't it? Customer experience. Hygiene factors, I'll explain later. All I'll say about hygiene factors is there's not much upside in hygiene factors, but if you've got problems in that area, massive impairment of your value. And then cash cycle. Remember we said someone's buying the expectation of a future free cash flow. So if you're doing things happening in your business which are impairing cash flow, then that is going to reduce the value of your business.
So do you think dependency we've got from a lucky market or?
Yes, the dependency comes in a number of areas, and we're just going to open that one up now.
So I understand that the multiplier is variable based on a number of different considerations, but are there any standard formulas, so within certain industries or certain sizes?
Which is the point Adrian was asking, and I'm edging into it now. So see if I cover it for you. Okay. So in reality, pretty much every business, and therefore I'll assume every business in this room, will run in a sector where the multiple is between 3 and 8, and actually 4 and 8 more often than not, times the EBITDA profit. So that's the cash profit of the business before the accountants start adding on and taking up all those complicated things they do. The cash profit of the business.
There's a couple of IT companies in the room. It's not unusual.
It's going way out the other end.
And also to do a multiple of revenues.
Yes. Okay, I'll cover those points. Yeah. So, of course, I can't throw a blanket over everything.
No,
I throw a blanket over kind of 90% of stuff with that range. And actually, if I tighten that down, 4 it's getting to be a bit of a British standard, actually. You know, if you want a number to reference everything off, 4 times EBITDA is not a bad for what businesses work. Okay? So then, if stuff's better than that, you'll get higher multiples, and if stuff's worse, you'll get that. Now, the point's made here that sometimes people talk about selling a business at a multiple of turnover. Accountancy practices tend to sell that way. Estate agents, so there are certain businesses where it's a good customer practice. One of the reasons you might have to talk about selling is because there is no profit. Can you think of any of those sort of .com type businesses that sold? Because it's Instagram, Baltimore. Yeah, that didn't have any profits. Yeah. So why were people prepared to pay? You know, profit multiple. Well, was no profit multiple, so we'll just buy multiple turnovers.
Future earnings.
It's all about future, isn't it? Yeah. So if I come along and I say, I'm making money on the, you know, the quantity of profit side of this, but to add to your hand of cards, I've got 100,000 customers. Can I do 100,000 customers? I might want to pick up a lot of money for that. So there are these exceptional circumstances where people start talking about multiples of turnover or percentages of turnover. And yeah, are there businesses that sell out in this lovely zone up here? There are. They are. They tend to be exceptional, and the reasons is that people are picking them off the tree early. It's like a fruit that's not ripe yet, but they can say, "Oh, I'll take that away. I know how to grow that, make that even better and bigger." So again, the present profitability of the business would be an unfair representation, and the seller wouldn't sell. They say, no, I might as well do that myself. Leave it on the tree for a bit longer. It'll be worth more. But you know, that's not a bad blanket to throw over most. As I say, 4 is becoming a bit of a standard. So what determines this range? We've got things like market maturity. We've got things like the market forces. Anyone come across Michael Porter and his 5 market forces? Yeah, about half the room probably. We'll have a look at that because it's quite a good way for you to think about your own business actually. But this is framing the range that your kind of a business will be in. And what Porter says is, well, how tough is it out there? You know, do you face threats from potential entrants? It's really quite easy to come into your market. Just kind of, you know, rent a shop and set up and you're an estate agent. You don't need to particularly qualify or something like that. Or is it really difficult to get in? Are there threats from substitute products or services? What might that be? Anybody feel they might be threatened by a substitute service?
We do relatively high assurance security appliances for government, and standard firewalls are becoming more secure.
Yeah.
So they're creeping up,
they're
up the value chain.
capabilities.
So they're enhancing. So it's not so.
Yeah.
You know, there's competition here, but then there's this other stuff that is getting smart.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you were back long enough in history, there was a very profitable horse and cart manufacturer, wasn't there, who saw the first combustion engine. So in many of our worlds, you get these kind of technology shifts, which is why we asked you to do that Pesco analysis to see what's out there that could be changing the game for you. We've got bargaining power of customers. Anybody in a market where the customer has got massive bargaining power? Yeah. What's yours, Damien?
Because there's a relatively limited number of jobs, particularly in the renewables side of things. They know people are going for them. There isn't, you know, they know there isn't another 40 customers we can go and
Yeah. So there's a few of them, and they go, listen up, anybody want some work? And you'll go and be a cat.
Maybe not
Put
probably
it
that
in.
much,
Have any of you ever been in Tesco's or Asda's buying offices and sat in that horrible waiting room? Yeah. With your tin of pineapples or whatever it is, trying to sell them. You know, that's when you see the bargaining power of the customer.
There's something that's happened in the car industry, and one of the major FMCGs has started charging people to go onto their hosting.
How about that?
That's completely changing. Was it uproar?
Yeah.
Range, but they charge, I think it's 25 grand to get on the basic plus 40 grand to get on a
Yeah. I paid 20 grand for the right to be on someone's shelf in W.H. Smith. I mean, it's just the bargaining power of the customers. What about bargaining for anybody but the other way around, where actually all the power is behind the chain, and actually there's only one place they can go to get supply?
Yeah, we've got certain airports where there's a monopoly. Generally, it's like the more government-run
Like the
airports.
things like that.
Oh no, they half only. So, but other airports that there's a lot of restriction in terms of
Yeah.
security and government and so forth. They've got the monopoly, so
Yeah.
we've got no options but to use them.
Yeah. Well, you see, that could impair value because you know they change their policy or something, and it may have a significant effect on your business. I would kind of whip end. And then there's the punch up in the middle. You know, who just feels they're in the boxing ring all day with their competitors? You know, taking a punch, throwing, lashing out, just trying to get a bit of a share of what's going on out there. Yeah. So if you're looking at all this and going, yeah, that's us, then we might consider strategically moving to a different sector. But, you know, to some degree, we're all influenced by some of those things, but if it's overwhelming, what that's going to do is say that in that sector, the printing industry, good example, effectively marked out very low multiples because the conditions are very difficult to cheat. So, let's imagine then that you went through a bit of a process and you said, oh, I'll do this now. So I've done a bit of a study of my own business, current state analysis, thing we're doing at the moment. And what I know is that businesses in my sector trade between 4 and 8, it's multiple. I've looked at my business and we reckon that it will only attract a multiple of 5. Just creep into the 5s. There's quite a lot of room to manoeuvre. So you've got two choices in BGP at that point, haven't you? You can say, interesting, but I'm going to focus on the quality, on the quantity of profits. Okay, down that side, into my P&L, you know, squeeze the life out of it. Or I can start to say, no, I'm going to balance that off with thinking about how do I create a business which is actually worth more because I've increased the multiple potential. So I want to move it to there. Now, that is at the time of sale, but actually you don't need to sell it at that time. It's an option, isn't it? You know, it might be fun to run. Might be a case of just stepping back and letting somebody else become the manager of it. So, we've all heard that term due diligence. Yeah. As and when you ever get into a sale process or purchase process, there's loads of that goes on. Lots of people make money out of it. But it comes in 3 areas. There's the legal aspect of due diligence, there's the financial aspect of due diligence, and there's the commercial aspect. The difference between these really is that these two are trying to find reasons why not. These are looking for things that would impair value, and they're trying to de-risk the deal. The top one, the commercial side, is much more about what is this business? What does it do? How does it do it? How can we work with it? And this is the area that we're most interested